Hello, good morning. This is Nas from NB Network Lessons. Hope everyone's doing okay and having a great day. Thank you so much for joining. My today's topic of discussion under Calculus 1, lesson number 3 is, as you can see in the board, understanding limits with substitution. I did calculus lesson 1 and 2 about derivatives. Okay. So if you are interested, you can go and check out my collections, and it should be under folder calculus 1. So check it out. If you really want to progress in calculus, I basically on my all lessons, I break it down to scratch and try to make it really, really simple for students to understand. Having said that, let's go ahead and dive into today's topic. So basically in calculus, we do have something which is called limits, okay? And I'll explain more as we progress. So limits is not an easy concept to understand, but if you stick with me and pay attention, I'm sure that you will understand and grasp it. Okay, so let's go ahead and let me go ahead and draw a graph right here. So we have something like this, right? This is x, okay? And this right here is function of x, okay? Now, in traditional algebra, this is always x-axis and this is y-axis. Basically, what I'm saying by function of x is that if you've got a function, for example, x plus 1, x square, x cube, x plus 5. So if you substitute the value of x, okay, to whatever number is being asked for, then you will see how the function behaves, okay, how the function behaves with the variable x. That's all I'm saying right here in this case. How would this function behave with variable x change, okay? So let's go ahead and draw a graph. Let me go ahead and draw it quickly. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay. So let's say if we are at this position right here. Okay. So I'm at 1 and I pick this point right here. Then I'm at 2, I pick this point right here. When I'm at 3, I pick this point right here. Okay. So it seems like a pretty straight line. So if I draw the line, my line might not be perfect, but you understand what I'm trying to do, right? So if I draw the line right here, it's going to pass like this. It's going to go like this. All right. So this is, I'm not a good artist, but I did my best. So basically, as you can see, this line is crossing y-axis or function of x at this position right here. So then the function of x would be is equal to x plus 1. Okay. If you change the values of x in here, if you make x is equal to 1, obviously you're going to have function of x is equal to 2. If you change this to 2, okay, then at 3 right here, if you change this to 2, at this right here, x is equal to 2, you will meet at 3. Okay, so this point right here, that's what I'm talking about. So now we move on to finding the limits of a function. Now, concept of limit is not that easy, but I'm going to try to simplify it for you, and I hope that you grasp it. So basically, what I'm saying is that if we say as x approaches 1, what will be my function of x? So function of x would be approaching 2. So think of this right here. When I say x approaching 1, I'm not really approaching 1, but I'm infinitely very close to 1. So that is exactly what it means when I say x approaching 1, well, it's approaching to 1, but it never meets 1. That's why we say function of x is approaching 2, because if your x is equal to 1, if you plug in 1 right here, 1 plus 1, 2, so then function of x is never really going to get dot on 2, but it's going to be infinitely close. Okay, so that's what I wanted to say. Now, let's say if we do as x approaches 2, what would be my function approaching? X is approaching 2. So you plug in 2 over here, 2 plus 1 is 3. So it's approaching 3, but never really dots onto 3, but gets very, very close. So then I'm going to say approaches 3 right here. Okay. So this is one more. Let's say if we do as, now this might be an exam question. So as x approaches minus 2, what will be your function equal to? I don't have, negative numbers showing on the graph, but imagine that in your head. So if that's the case, you plug in minus 2 in this. Minus 2 plus 1 is minus 1. So x would be, function of x would be approaching minus 1. All right. Hope this makes sense to you. Now in calculus, how do you write limits? In calculus, you write limits like this. You say limit x approaching 1, x plus 1 is equal to 2. In your book, it says equal to sign, but I have difficulty understanding why mathematicians or, in schools, why they have equal sign. Because if x is approaching 1, right, then my function is approaching 2. So in my mind, this should be approaching. However, since it's on your books, it's equal to sign. I'm just going to go ahead and continue with that. But if you come across limits in your school, ask your professor also and provide me feedback. Thank you. So then I can say if limit x approaching 2, what would be my function equal to? It would be, if you plug in 2 into here, 2 plus 1, 3. Again, in my mind, this should be approaching, not equal to. And then last one we can do is limit x approaching negative 2, x plus 1, what would that be equal to? Negative 2 plus 1 is negative 1. So that would be negative 1. All right. Thank you so much. Watch this lesson a couple of times. It'll make sense to you. If you have any questions, send me a message and I'll be happy to answer. Take care of yourself and have a good day. Bye-bye.